The Indiana Pacers are down 0-2 to the New York Knicks. And if we're honest with ourselves, both of these games, I felt like the Indiana Pacers had a chance to win. I want to dive into that in this video. If you enjoy it, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Let me just start off by saying I think Rick Carlisle is an excellent coach. If I'm honest with you, I would have to say that his track record, his history, for me, I would say he's a better coach than Tom Thibodeau. But there is something to be said to be coaching stylistically your style of players that brings out the best in your coaching chops and your abilities. And for the New York Knicks, this is a team that is tailor made to Tom Thibodeau. Not so sure that the Indiana Pacers are quite there yet in terms of being tailor made for Rick Carlisle. But what you see here is a battle of strategies, a battle of identities. You have the Indiana Pacers who scheme, who have great X's and O's. And then you have the New York Knicks who just keep punching you in the mouth, who keep knocking you off your square, who keep dislodging you and making you feel like you have to worry more about Josh Hart bumping into you and Isaiah Hartenstein screening you than you do have to worry about executing plays. And I think that that's what we're seeing. The Indiana Pacers are getting manhandled, if we're honest. They're getting manhandled. They're getting knocked over. They're getting knocked aside. And if they don't do something quickly, they're going to lose this series. But here's a couple of key things that I've been noticing from the Indiana Pacers that they have an opportunity to capitalize on and make some adjustments. The first one is their big lineup is very successful. Now, I know I haven't checked into the plus minus and all of that, but from a visual test, the big lineup with Obi Toppin, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, or insert Isaiah Jackson has allowed them to be able to rebound at a rate with the New York Knicks while still being able to sustain their up-tempo style of play. Now, this is extremely important because the Knicks being able to hit the offensive glass and get multiple chance opportunities is a key part of their offense. You have to recognize that Tom Thibodeau is not a high-level offensive schemer. His X's and O's are never going to be at the level of Rick Carlisle. But for his team, their ability to hit the offensive glass and get second chance opportunities when everyone's scrambling for a loose ball or a loose rebound, and then they kick it out to wide open shooters, this is where the New York Knicks get a bulk of their offense from. Not just a bulk of their offense, but when it matters the most in the fourth quarter, especially down the stretch of games. And this is something that Rick Carlisle is going to have to make an adjustment. Does he continue to go with Aaron Nesmith, Tyrese Halliburton, and Andrew Nembhard? Or does he potentially sit down Nembhard or sit down Aaron Nesmith and insert Obi Toppin? Because if we're honest with ourselves, Obi Toppin has been having a fantastic playoff series against the New York Knicks. His former team, he feels more than comfortable playing in the Garden. In fact, being in a contract year, it's obvious that he has something to prove. And he's doing just that. Scoring 20 points in this last game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal. He was a problem for the Indiana Pacers that they did not have a solution for. They do not have somebody of his quickness, athleticism, physicality, length who can keep him off the glass. And as a result, he was able to create great opportunities for his team, whether it was moving without the ball, getting out in transition, or spotting up in the corners. Now, this is something that I think if the Indiana Pacers capitalize on, what they will end up doing is wearing down the New York Knicks. And that has to be the underlining theme or scheme for the Indiana Pacers is we want to wear them down. They're playing 3 or more of their players 40 plus minutes a game. That is not sustainable. Now, let's be clear, in the playoff structure, having a day off in between gives you some time. You're not playing back-to-backs. But if they continue to get the ball up and down the court and they begin to hit that glass, it's going to wear down guys like Josh Hart. Now, it's admirable that he's been able to sustain double-digit rebounding, right, just throughout this playoff series and just as a player in general. It's only 6'5". But here's the thing. He played all 48 minutes of this game. All 48 minutes. And I didn't see him tested not once. You see, One of the things about going big that's really important to keep in mind is that it takes a lot of energy to make up for the lack of those inches, right? There's a big difference between trying to out jump Aaron Neesmith, who's 6'6", 6'7", and you're 6'5", but you may still have 5 or 6 to 10 pounds on him, right? Josh Hart is a thick dude, about 6'5", 225, 230, right? Aaron Neesmith is about 6'6", 6'7", maybe 220, right? So he's got a few pounds on him, but he's also older. He's thicker. He's strong. He's a tough physical player, and as tough and physical as Aaron Neesmith is, he doesn't offer the same level of resistance as somebody like Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin clearly not only has the height advantage at 6'10", but he also has the athleticism advantage. He has the length advantage, and more than a few times we saw Obi Toppin just simply clear rebounds over Josh Hart. And this is something that is imperative that the Indiana Pacers make an adjustment in. They have to own that rebounding advantage against Josh Hart. Whoever is matched up against him has to be able to out rebound him. And Obi Toppin is probably the best man to do it, even though he's not known for being a great rebounder. His length and his size and athleticism is something that can at least mitigate the impact Josh Hart has on the glass. The next part is Rick Carlisle has to get Pascal Siakam going. The All NBA, multiple time All Star, 6'9" forward, who's been to the NBA championship, has a championship, has a ring, has the experience, has the skill set. He's probably the best one-on-one shot creator on the team who has done so at this level. And yet he has struggled. Now, I think it's going to help that OG Anunoby has had an injury. And I know that's always unfortunate. OG Anunoby seemed to have been able to tell Tom Thibodeau, hey, I got this. I got this guy. I'm going to keep him in control. And that's something that Rick Carlisle should have adjusted already. He should have been running screens to get switches, to put a guard on Pascal Siakam, to get OG Anunoby off of him so that he can get him going, so that he can get him opportunities to be able to get to the rim, to get into his shot package, to get his shot off, to be able to get into that rhythm that takes pressure off the other guys. Because if we're honest with ourselves, we don't want Andrew Nembhard being a primary shot creator. You don't want TJ McConnell. You don't want, Ben Shepherd and Aaron Neesmith. You don't want these guys carrying that load. None of them are all-stars. None of them have the significant athleticism, size, quickness, shot-making advantage over their matchup. And so what you need to do is make sure that Pascal Siakam gets himself going early at the beginning of the first half and the beginning of the second half, because you're going to need him in that fourth quarter. You're going to need somebody who knows what shot he's going to get to and has the touch and has the rhythm to be able to get those shots, because he's going to be able to close the game for you. Now, the last thing, and this is the last thing for the Indiana Pacers, you're going to need to make sure that you begin to really get underneath Tyrese Halliburton and challenge him to be aggressive each and every quarter. He finally woke up in this game, right? Ended the game with 34 points, 6 rebounds and 9 assists, 3 steals on great percentages. He had a fabulous game for all intents and purposes. And yet, in the third quarter, when they had the lead and they watched it dwindle away, Tyrese Halliburton only shot the ball one time. Now, this is something that I know Rick Carlisle back in the day, he used to be one of those micromanaging coaches. If you talk to Jason Kidd back when he was with the Dallas Mavericks, he was one of those coaches who wanted to call out a play each and every time, right? And you can see that he's gotten away from that a little bit. But there is something to knowing what needs to happen and making sure that you make that happen. You cannot allow Tyrese Halliburton to only shoot the ball one time in a quarter. In fact, if you've gone a minute, 2 minutes in, and he hasn't shot the ball, you either need to call a timeout or you need to call a play. And you need to remind him this is his shot. This play is for him. You need to either tell Andrew Nembhard, TJ McConnell, whoever else is the other secondary ball handler, offensive initiator, that they need to run a play specifically for Halliburton. Because when he is aggressive, he is able to have an offensive gravitation that is allowing everyone else to get easy looks and opportunities. But when he's not shooting, he's kind of just floating around out there and he lets the defense off the hook. And as a result, the Indiana offense struggles mightily. Now, these are the adjustments that the Indiana Pacers need to make if they're going to get back into the series, and I think that they are. I definitely see them getting their offensive rhythm back home in Indiana for games 3 and 4. I think Pascal Siakam, Aaron Neesmith, these guys have big offensive production outbursts in Indiana, and I think that Indiana takes the next two. But Indiana is going to have to be careful because the New York Knicks, they want to get done quickly. Now, with all the injuries, especially with OG Anunoby, I know he's from the Indiana area, played at the University of Indiana. You know he's going to want to play in these games, and they're going to want to wrap this thing up, which means that they're going to push to get this win in Game 3. The Indiana Pacers have to get this game. I think we all know that, but we also have to understand that that also means that you need to have a game plan and a scheme to make sure you maximize the opportunities that this team has to win. And so that's what I have for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you think the Indiana Pacers need to do to turn these things around? What do you think about my thoughts in terms of going big to start the game? Right? Maybe bring Andrew Nembhard off the bench and go a little bit bigger, hitting the glass, and making sure that they're winning that rebounding battle, and then getting Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton more involved. Let me know. Holler at me in the comment section. I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.